Today is the 28th of September. It's a Sunday, and I am reading The Comedians. It's a book by Greene, published in 1966. I'm here in the second part of this book. I've just finished chapter Roman 1, and we're coming now to Roman 2. This is the story of the three comedians, one of them being Mr. Smith, the presidential candidate Mr. Jones, who calls himself Major Jones, and Mr. Brown, who tells this story. Mr. Jones was in prison and is out of prison again, and this all plays in Haiti. Roman 2. For some days after my visit to the embassy, I heard nothing from Martha, and I was worried. I played the scene over and over again in my mind, trying to judge whether any irrevocable words had been spoken, but I remembered none. I was relieved, but angered too, by her short, untender note when it came at last. Angel was better, the pain was over, she would meet me if I wished by the statue. I went to the rendezvous and found nothing changed. But even in the lack of change and in her tenderness, I found cause for resentment. Oh yes, she was ready to make love now in her own good time. I said, we can't live in a car. She said, I've been thinking a lot about that too. I've been thinking a lot about that too. We shall ruin ourselves with secrecy. I will come to the Trianon, if we can avoid your guests. The Smiths will be in bed by this time. We'd better take both cars, in case. I can say I've brought you a message from my husband, an invitation, something of the sort. You go first, I'll give you 5 minutes. I'd expected a night of argument, and then suddenly the door, which I had pushed against so often before, flew open. I walked through and found only disappointment. I thought, she thinks quicker than I do. She knows the ropes. The Smiths surprised me when I reached the hotel by their audible presence. There was a clatter of spoons and the clinking of tins and a gentle punctuation of voices. They had taken over the veranda tonight for their evening yestrel and barmine. I had wondered sometimes what they spoke about together when they were alone. Did they refight old campaigns? I parked the car and stood a while and listened before I mounted the steps. I heard Mr. Smith say, "You've put in 2 spoonfuls already, dear." I know, I'm sure I haven't. Just try it first and you'll see. From the silence that followed, I gathered he was right. I have often wondered, Mr. Smith said, what happened to that poor man who was asleep in the pool. Our first night, do you remember, dear? Of course I remember, and I wish I had gone down, as I wanted to, at the time, Mrs. Smith said. I asked Joseph next day, but I think he lied to me. Not lied, dear. He didn't understand. I walked up the stairs and they greeted me. Not in bed yet, I asked rather stupidly. Mr. Smith had to catch up with his mail. I wondered how I should shift them from the veranda before Martha arrived. I said, you mustn't be too late. The minister is taking us to Duvalierville tomorrow. We start early. That's all right, Mr. Smith said. My wife will stay behind. I don't want her bumped along the roads in the sun. I can stand it quite as well as you can. I have to stand it, dear. For you, there's no necessity. It will give you a chance to catch up on your lessons in Hugo. But you need your sleep too, I said. I can do with very little, Mr. Brown. You remember, dear, that second night in Nashville? I had noticed how Nashville came back often to their common memory, perhaps because it was the most glorious of their campaigns. Do you know whom I saw in town today? Mr. Smith asked. No. Mr. Jones. He was coming out of the palace with a very fat man in uniform. The guards saluted. Of course, I don't suppose they were saluting Mr. Jones. He seems to be doing pretty well, I said. From prison to palace. It's almost better than log cabin to White House. I have always felt that Mr. Jones has great character. I'm very glad he's prospering, if it's not at somebody else's expense. At even that hint of criticism, Mr. Smith's expression slammed shut. He stirred his yestrel nervously, to and fro, and I was seriously tempted to tell him of the telegram sent to the captain of the Medea. Wasn't it possibly a flaw in character to believe so passionately in the integrity of all the world? I was saved by the sound of a car, and a moment later Martha came up the steps. "Why, it's that charming Mrs. Pineda," Mr. Smith exclaimed with relief. He rose and busied himself arranging a seat. Martha looked at me with despair and said, "It's late, I can't stop. I've just brought a message from my husband." She produced an envelope from her bag and pushed it into my hand. "Have a whiskey while you are here," I said. No, I really must get home." Mrs. Smith remarked a little stiffly, I thought, but perhaps it was in my imagination, "Don't hurry away, Mrs. Pineda, because of us. Mr. Smith and I are just off to bed. Come along, dear." "I have to go in any case. My son has mumps, you see." She was explaining too much. "Mumps?" Mrs. Smith said. "I'm so sorry to hear it, Mrs. Pineda. In that case you will certainly want to be at home." "I'll see you to your car," I said, and got her away. We drove to the end of the drive and I stopped. "What went wrong?" Martha asked. "You shouldn't have given me a letter addressed to you in my handwriting. I wasn't prepared. It was the only one I had in my bag. She couldn't have seen. She sees an awful lot, unlike her husband." "I'm sorry. What shall we do?" "We can wait until they're in bed, and then creep by and see the door open suddenly, and Mrs. Smith—" "They're not on my floor." "Then we'll meet her for certain at the corner of the stairs." "I can't." "Another meeting spoiled," I said. "Darling, that first night when you returned, by the pool, I wanted so much—" "They still have the John Barrymore suite just overhead. We can get under the trees, and the lights are out now. It's dark. Even Mr. Smith can't see in the dark." I felt an inexplicable reluctance. I said, "The mosquitoes trying to account for it. Damn the mosquitoes. The last time we had been together we quarrelled because of her unwillingness. Now it was my turn." I thought angrily. In her house, if her house must not be defiled, why should my house be any less sacred? And then I wondered, sacred to what? A dead body in the bathing pool? We left the car and went as softly as we could towards the pool. A light passed on in the Barrymore suite, and the shadow of a Smith passed across the mosquito netting. We lay down in the shallow declivity of the palms, like bodies given a common burial, and I remembered another death. Marcel, hanging from the chandelier. Neither of us would ever die for love. We would grieve and separate and find another. We belonged to the world of comedy and not of tragedy. The fireflies moved among the trees and lit intermittently a world in which we had no part. We, the uncoloured, were all of us too far away from home. I lay as inert as Monsieur le Ministre. "What's the matter, darling? Are you angry about something?" "No." She said humbly, "You don't want me." "Not here. Not now. I angered you last time, but I wanted to make it up." I said, "I never told you what happened that night, why I sent you away with Joseph. I thought you were protecting me from the Smiths. Dr. Philippot was lying dead in the pool just over there. You see that patch of moonlight? Killed? He had cut his own throat to escape the Tonton Macoute." She moved a little away. "I understand. Oh God, it's terrible, the things that happen. They're like nightmares." "Only the nightmares are real in this place, more real than Mr. Smith and his vegetarian centre, more real than ourselves." We lay quietly side by side in our grave, and I've loved her as I've never done in the Peugeot or the bedroom above Hammett's store. We approached one another by words more nearly than we had ever approached by touch. She said, I envy you and Louis. You believe in something. You have explanations. Have I? Do you think I still believe? She said, my father believed too. It was the first time she had ever mentioned him to me. In what? I asked. In the God of the Reformation, she said. He was a Lutheran, a pious Lutheran. He was lucky to believe in anything. And people in Germany too cut their throats to escape his justice. Yes, the situation isn't abnormal. It belongs to human life. Cruelty is like searchlight. It sweeps from one spot to another. We only escape it for a time. We're trying to hide now under the palm trees. Instead of doing anything, she said, I almost prefer my father. No, you know about him. Your husband told me. At least he wasn't a diplomat. Or a hotel keeper who depends on the tourist trade. There's nothing wrong in that. A capitalist waiting for the dollars to return. You speak like a communist. Sometimes I wish I were. But you're Catholics, you and Louis. Yes, we were both brought up by the Jesuits. I said, they taught us to reason, so at least we know the kind of part we play now. Now? We lay there, holding each other for a long time. Sometimes I wonder whether it was not the happiest moment we ever knew together. For the first time, we had trusted each other with something more than a caress. So that was the end of Roman 2, and Roman 3 is to follow.